Well, hello everyone. This is Robin Carter with Robin's Creations. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator out of Flower Mound, Texas, and today I am here to share my second set of alternatives using the January 2025 Heart for You Paper Pumpkin Kit. Before we begin, let me thank all of those who have subscribed to my channel and welcome to my new subscribers. If you are brand new to my channel, I hope you find some inspiration in this video that you will consider being a subscriber to my YouTube channel. I'm appreciative to each and every one of you, so I just wanted to say thank you for your support of my channel. So before we begin, let me switch to hands down so I can share a few specials. And I'm going to run through this kind of quickly because I do this every video. So if you've missed some details, maybe check out the first or the unboxing where I share very detailed information. So this is a kit we're going to be working with today. But as always, going on right now is the Paper Pumpkin subscription period for the February Hello Spring set. So don't miss that. The deadline for that is February 10th, and it does have a coordinating bundle out of the mini catalog if you're interested in getting that. It's called Grown with Love Bundle, item number 164804. So that's all I want to share today. Just briefly, I'm going to mention that, we are, the mini catalog is live. It is celebration time, so it's a great time to get those products on your list. When your merchandise total is $60 or more, you earn a free item. And if you do not have a demonstrator, I would love your support by using this host code when you place your orders. Orders of $75 or more, you will receive a special gift from me as well. So let me put this away, and one of my favorite things that I like to store all my little project kits in is this large envelope. And all these items that I call my favorite things, there is a link in the description box of this video of where you can find those items. So if you're interested in those, check those out. Let's jump right into my alternatives. Now, I shared in my last video of how when you use this piece to make the card, how you can cut a heart out of the center. I'm trying to see if I have one of those in there, and I don't. But we're going to use that heart today, so hopefully you have that. Now, if you don't, and here, I have it right here. So I shared how this backing, I've always cut to 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, of course, cutting the card base in half. But you can see here, I cut a heart out of this center, and I showed how to just make sure you're not going to cut any of those items or the backing of this, because that's what will show in your card. So hopefully you have done that, and we can get 3 additional cards by not doing not tearing up a whole lot of more material. All right, so let's get started. What you're going to need is a thick white card base, and of course there's not one in there because I had to cut a whole bunch before this video. I store my pre-made cards in this envelope as well, card bases anyway, and I love using the thick white. It really gives your card a feel of more quality. It just, it's heavier and it's nicer. So I scored that and then feel to see which one is a little bigger, and it's this side. So I'm going to put that on top so I don't forget. You're going to need a piece of Flirty Flamingo that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I have a 4 1/4. This should be, let's see, yes, I did trim it. 4 1/4 by 5 1/4 embossed white layer. Now, this one happens to use the eyelet embossing folder, and I didn't bring it over here, but it's been a while. It's been in the annual catalog, and it's been available for a while, so don't miss that. Okay, and then we're going to need that heart that we cut out of the center of that. Now, I went ahead and embossed that with the Painted Texture 3D embossing folder. Now, that one sadly did retire, but that's just an optional step. If you don't have that embossing folder, it's going to look beautiful just like it is. Okay, and then I have some items that I've cut with the Stylish Shapes dies. Now, this is some paper that I believe was last year's celebration. It had gold and silver. Now, if you don't have that paper, you could very easily just get a splatter stamp and splatter it with maybe some Flirty Flamingo ink to give it some detail. But I'm going to bring that in. I did say I'm trying to use up some of my designer series paper. I have quite a stash, and I've been bad about not using it, so I'm trying to go back and use it when I can. So you can see I cut this with the third largest circle from the Stylish Shapes dies. Now these are some basic essentials, so the item number for it is 159183 if you'd like to add these to your collection if you don't have those already. I like that there's, first of all, they all have stitching on them, which is what I love. But it cuts several different size circles, squares, some banners of different height and length. And of course, I've shown many times how if you wanted a shorter one, you can just, there's a trick to do that, which I've shared in my videos before. All right, so I also used the same third largest and cut a white circle. Okay, and then I went in and used my blending brushes with a light coat of Flirty Flamingo. So you can see it's just a much lighter coat than the paper. So all this is going to coordinate. So let's get started putting this together. And I do have some tips. I do want to use this scallop around the heart. And of course, if you can put your dimensionals right on the edge, but just to be safe, I like to go ahead and get some Scotch tape. You can use tear and tape as well. All right, and then I get a different color other than white since it's that, and I just, this is a mat that comes out of the case. I think they still, maybe they don't sell that anymore, but this was a case that you store your blocks in. Obviously, the Stampin' Pierce mat would work for this as well, but I'm doing this just so you can see it better. I'm just going to get, I've got my Scotch tape under my table here, and just little bitty strips, and I'm going to tape this together just so that I can put it on dimensionals and the scallop piece will stay attached. Again, tear and tape would work great on this. Just don't take your backing off if that's what you have near you. I really like this these two alternatives. So stick around with me through the end, and I think you'll find some inspiration of how to make non-Valentine pretty cards with these hearts and the material included in the kit. All right, so that should hold it together fine. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere this to our Flirty Flamingo piece. Now, if you are a paper saver, you know, you could probably cut some stuff out of this. I didn't do it on this one. I just like the full support of a full layer, but you feel free to do what you want. I'm going to get out a full bottle. Hopefully this doesn't come tumbling on me, of my liquid glue, because when I use an embossed layer, I like a little heavier strip of glue so that it fits in the nooks and crannies and also adheres it to the layer. The multi-purpose glue is my favorite. Let me see which that side seems to be the front. I can tell by my cut because I can wiggle it around till I think it's pretty centered just by eyeing it. All right, that looks good. I've got a glue dot backing there. All right, and then I just give it a little rub, and if you want to, you can do the back where it's smoother so that that glue spreads out evenly and doesn't leave any lumps and bumps. So we can then adhere this to our thick white card base, and I'm going to use the same glue bottle again. Again, this is a good way if you don't, if in case it comes out in a big squirt, just as you press, keep your arm moving or your hand moving. That way when it comes out, it won't be quite a blob and it spreads it around. So there's a tip for you. I love sharing tips as they come to my brain. I don't have them written down here. Some tips just come out. So hopefully you find some tips along the way. All right, so there's our basic card. I know it doesn't show much Flirty Flamingo, but I think it makes it, pop a little more. All right, and then we need to do some stamping. Now, I used this stamp in my last set of alternatives. I love that it works well with this Valentine set. It is from the So Sincere set. Right here, item number 162283. It has some great sentiments. So if you are a Paper Pumpkin subscriber and look for more sentiments, it's great to kind of look at these stamps in the catalog that have just sentiments that you can add to your Paper Pumpkin cards. So this is a great one to have. It was an online available, online exclusive item. So, well, I think it was. It may be in the catalog now. It's been around a little while. All right, so I had this set up for my last alternative, and I found with the circle, I can pretty much just kind of set it in there, get some washi tape, hold it down. If that looks good, which it does, maybe a little more to the right, but rather than set up a whole circle, I just kind of winging it with what I have set up here. I should have left it alone. I think it does need to go back over here a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Now for the sentiment, since that is pink, I'm going to go ahead and use Memento Black for this, just so it stands out a little more. There's a whole lot of Flirty Flamingo on this card, so the black is just to help it stand out. So let's stamp that. Give it a second for the ink to absorb. That looks good. So I do have my chamois over here. Now what I like to do first is just clean up what ink I can with a damp paper towel by dabbing that. And then I go in with my chamois. That just helps me not have to rinse out my chamois as often. Keeps it getting as inky. All right. So there's our sentiment. Knowing you brings joy to my heart. So this works great with this kit. All right. You set this underneath here, and let's put this all together. So like I said, I really I like this design. I've done this on other things. So we're going to take our gold dot circle, and again, you can look in your stash, see what paper you have. Maybe you have this from Celebration, or like I said, you could just get one of the speckled stamps and do the Flirty Flamingo ink on that. All right. Give that a little rub. And then for my heart, I'm going to want to put it on dimensionals, of course. You know how I love to add height and dimension and texture to my cards. It just makes them a lot more interesting with just a little bit of supplies. Now, that one came completely off the back. And then I always like to cut my dimensionals in half as well. These are the large ones. It's from another kit. We did get quite a few in this month's kit, but I just kind of use them as they come in. So let's put one more in the center. Well, let's do one on each side there to support the sides. Okay, and so now I'm going to kind of line this up. Take off the backings first. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 4, 5. Okay. They're all off. And before you set this down, you want to kind of look at your sentiment and see where it's going to go to make sure it's going to fit under there. And I think that works great. Let's go ahead and put this sentiment down. Actually, that would really help you to know. I did have to fill up my little bottle. It was getting low. Okay, knowing you brings joy to my heart. All right, and then the heart. Whoops, sticky little sucker. All right, let's set that down right there. Isn't that cute? I just really liked this card. And again, this uses that extra heart that we're able to cut out from that card base that I showed in my first set of alternatives. Now you can add embellishments, either like gold dots or the little hearts that came in our kit. I'm going to show you some. Like I said, I showed also how I store my embellishments. So like this was a peach one, and I had this old set, and here's my finished card that I did ahead of time that had these little hearts in them. So I added those. I also forgot a step. So I'm going to put a gold heart here. Now, if you don't have any gold material, and I did use this little punch from ages ago, you could easily use one of the little hearts in our kit that, that one was kind of had a mark in it. So I'm going to get another one here that I've made. Or you could use your stamp and did the gold embossing like I did on my first set of alternative and then fussy cut it. So I like to give options of how you can get the same look if you don't have some of the supplies I use. So let's glue this little heart right on there. And there you go. Now, if you use the gold paper and like it looks kind of icky, here's what I like to do. I have some alcohol in a spray bottle, and I just do a tip of some paper towel and squirt it. I'm not trying not to get it on my card. And then I just go over it. It's better if you let it dry so you don't scoot it. So I go over my heart with that alcohol, and look, that cleaned it up. I don't know if it showed. It doesn't look brass on my screen over there. But you can see, look, just those embellishments. So again, gold embellishments or the ones in our kit would work great. Or if you have some Flirty Flamingo-ish colored embellishments, that looks good. So what do you think about this alternative? I really like that. I hope you do too. And then we have our second alternative to get to. So let me put this away, and let's get out our materials for our second alternative. We've had a cold spell here over the weekend and these last few days. We did have snow a couple weeks ago here in Texas, which was kind of nice. But now I'm like, okay, we've had winter. Let's get on to spring. But who knows if it will come early this year or not. All right, so the second alternative, let me get out the goodies for it. Now, I hope you really like this one. So again, of course, we need a thick white card base. Which way? See, that one opens that way. All right, you're going to need a piece of real red cardstock. Now, this piece of cardstock is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And as you can see, I cut the center out with the Nested Essentials dies. I did the second largest one because we're going to use that. So that's just, if you want to conserve cardstock, you can cut that out of the center, or if you don't like to do that, you can just cut it out of some paper you may have. All right, and then I used part of the card base from our kit. So we're going to have 2 extra pieces. I'm just going to make 1. You can make 3 of these cards with just a half of the paper. All right, and then we have a piece of white that's going to be just big enough that when we do that and that, it'll fit. So you can kind of measure. I think I cut these two at 1 7/8. So we have 2 of those, and my original card is just a little less, whatever is left of that. All right, so did that mess that up? I don't know if that came on screen or not, but I actually hit something and something came up on my computer. All right, so then we need our little heart stamp that came in the kit. And I am going to get my Stampin' Pierce mat because we're going to do some stamping. And then I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper right here. And we're going to do some stamping. Now with this heart, it is solid. And if you have a hard time getting a solid image, first ink it up with Versamark pretty well. All right, and that's going to help your ink stick to the stamp and you'll get a much cleaner image. So I'm going to use my full-size Real Red pad because that'll help it go by faster. And we're going to stamp some of these hearts around this piece of paper. So just kind of randomly, and I did the scrap paper so that I could go off the edge. You know what, that one's kind of not clear and that one's going to show. So I got a little happy there. I must have moved my hand too much. All right, so straight down. You don't have to press too hard. Maybe I pressed too hard. I've got several layers here cut. All right, and then you can go off the edge. So just some random hearts. I do like them all to kind of be tilted upwards, but you can turn them left and right just to get a little variety of these hearts. Let's go that way. All right, so I'm going to continue stamping. It's hard to stamp and talk, so I'm going to just have to concentrate here a little bit, and you can bear with me. I don't want to mess it up again and start over, so I'm just going to finish this out. Again, the center part there is not as imperative as the edges because we're going to put this together, and there's going to be something kind of in the center. So just several of these hearts. I love this little heart. It's a good shape. That is one thing I do love about the paper pumpkins is the exclusive stamps that we get. Let's put just one going off the edge there so it's nice and full. Let's see, maybe just a tiny bit of red there. Okay, I'm happy with that. Now if you'll clean these right away, they won't turn super pink on you. So I just clean that off, and you can see it's stained a little bit, but not very much, and it doesn't affect the stamp. And actually, the more you use these stamps, the better it will add ink, or it'll stamp better, cleaner. How about that? All right, so in case that's a little damp, I'm going to be very careful. Set that off to the side while I get rid of my Stampin' Pierce mat. So isn't that cute? I mean, just in itself, it's a whole bunch of hearts. But let's get to adding our layers. So, like I said, I did cut out part of that. I can tell this is the top just by the cutting. And we're going to put some of the designers, the card bases. So in our kit, did I say designer series paper? Well, it's from our card kits. Our cards in our kit, card bases. So I cut this at 4 1/8, and then I cut it into 3 layers. So that's where this piece came from. And I still have another half a sheet. So if you really like this card, you can get 6 of these using just 1 card base. All right, so you can decide, do you want it to show a little bit of red, or do you want it to go all the way to the bottom? I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to show a little bit of red. I like that. All right, so let's get my, now when you're doing that, you want to be careful that you don't put glue and then glue on your table. So I may just add the glue here, kind of estimate or guesstimating where that's going to go. All right, and then just put that down and put it to where you like it. All right, so see, I didn't get glue on the back there. And now we're going to add this heart piece. Now, don't worry, you can see I have a little bit of gap, but I'm going to add some red ribbon. Now, if you don't have red ribbon, you could use a piece of plain red cardstock. And I think I just went all the way across. So I'm going to have to be careful. Another solution is if you do this, get out your silicone mat when you put this down. That way the glue will go on your silicone mat. I'm going to add this heart piece. Okay, with an equal border around. Now I probably should have trimmed this to 4 inches as well, so it equaled my heart piece, because those are, here's my other one. Yeah, those are right at 4 by 3 1/4. So if I were doing this again, I would trim that one down. But I think once I add my ribbon, it's not going to show that much. So I happen to have some red ribbon. It is retired, but maybe you caught it like I did when it was on the clearance rack. So let's flip this over and use some tear and tape so we can attach our ribbon to the back. And then be careful you don't set it back on your silicone mat on the side that has the sticky glue. Alright, so we're going to cover up that gap with this ribbon. Or if you don't have this ribbon, a piece of even white ribbon would look good, or a piece of white cardstock. I do want to make sure that's kind of even. And here's how I make sure I set my card bases there. And then it went just a little below a quarter design, and that one did too. So that's pretty centered. All right, now we can adhere this to our card base. I love that random stamping. And I think you're going to like the finished product and what I found to work well with this card. And that stamp set is still current last I looked, so it's one of my favorites. Okay, so then I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus, and we're going to do some stamping. So my sentiment for this one comes from the Courage and Faith stamp set. This trust in the Lord with all your heart. So that fits nicely here and goes very well with this kit. So I have that lined up here, and I did line this one up with the top a little more toward the top than the bottom, and I'm going to use real red ink on this one just because I like all the monochromatic pretty much color. All right, let's hope see if I should have used my ink spot. I love the ink spots for my Stamparatus, but I think I did okay with this one. All right, let that soak in a second. That did well, kind of. My in is not so good, and I just moved that. So let's see if it will ink back up. I'm going to get my spot just to kind of ink that in. It's not a solid, as much solid. And if I mess it up, I think I have another one I can redo. I should have taped that down better. Okay, it did good. All right. You know what? Just for grins and giggles, I want to do that again. And I'm going to tape down the base of it so it doesn't wiggle any. All right. Then I'm going to use my spot to ink this up. I hope I'm not shaking my table, making you dizzy. Find my lid to my glue. It'll show up, I'm sure. Okay, it could be under my Stamparatus. Okay, now with the spot, you can see that's much lighter. So I want to do it again. So it's a nice, strong red color. That's the beauty of a stamp positioning tool, is you can go right back over it and get a much darker image with that. So again, I'm going to get my damp paper towel, dab dab, and then I'm going to get my chamois and wipe that clean. Okay, and now, if it's dry, you know what, they're both pretty good. Maybe it's my eyes. Looks like this T might be a little fuzzy, so I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to adhere that to the bigger of the Nested Essentials. All right, kind of get that all centered. Just to your eye. All right, and then we're going to attach this using dimensionals, and then we're going to add one more thing to it, and that'll be done. But I really liked this idea. It's obviously not a Valentine card, and it could be sent out any time of the year. I'm not against Valentine's Day. I just don't have a lot of people to send a Valentine's Day card to. All right, so let's put that kind of in the center. And then much like my other one, I'm going to add a gold heart to give it some bling. Okay. And then I did add some other embellishments to this one. But let's get the multi-purpose glue. Just a little dab. And do it like that. So again, you can make a third one with just half of a card base. So I'm going to put this in my little 5x7 envelopes where I can keep all my supplies handy. And so here is the one I did already, and I added some more gold embellishments. So what do you think about that one? There's my glue tip. I know I could put it around there, but it gets in my way when I'm gluing, so I don't do that. So that's really shining for me. I think the light, there you can see. And again, if you don't have any gold ribbon or gold paper, you can stamp that in Versamark and not dry emboss it. Emboss it with some gold embossing powder and then fussy cut it out. Or you could just stamp another red heart there. That would be cute as well. So, or use one from the kit. So in the kit, we got these. We got a whole sheet. You probably know what I'm talking about. So we have all of these hearts. Now that would be kind of big, but actually it'd be too big for that. So either just stamp a red one or do what you want to. Cut your own heart. It's not too hard, especially if you fold your paper in half. That's how we did it in school, to get equal side little heart shapes. So I hope I'm going to turn that while it's still not dried. I hope you've enjoyed these two alternatives. Let me switch back to me. All right, here we go. By the way, I didn't mention today is Tuesday, July 21st. So thanks for joining me today. Again, I will probably have more alternatives to share. I wanted to get these out as soon as I could and had time. So I appreciate all of my subscribers. And again, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, stats say that about half are only subscribed of my viewers. So if you can help hit that subscribe button, that would really help me and would encourage me. So the best compliment you can give me is a thumbs up to this video. Share it with your other paper crafting friends and leave me a comment. And if you do subscribe, I would love to know that. So sometimes I don't know, because unless you subscribe publicly, it doesn't give me the little icon that you're subscribed. And about where you're from, I find that interesting as well. So until my next video, I hope this inspires you to expand your kit and make something other than Valentine's cards, if that's what you prefer. So have a great day, everyone. Again, thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.